Hey yo, what's up? And welcome to the Anomaly Podcast. You have found yourself the wildest podcast this side of the Milky Way galaxy. We're going to explore the nether realms of the alternate dimensions, extraterrestrials, and secret societies. We're diving deep down the rabbit hole as deep gets. So sit back, relax, and set the space for the cosmic dance. This is the Anomaly Podcast. Now, there are many anomalies out there. People who just don't buy into this system, this corporate conglomerate vibe, this vibe of always trying to take your focus and your attention and just make it feed the system of control and oppression and exploitation. Not on this show. We're going to expose it all. We are going to shine light on all the shadows. We are going to get to the bottom of what is up, what's going on in reality. So here we go, show number 1. So to start out, let's start in the beginning of time, the Big Bang. Boom! Big Bang was like, boom! So this universe, and this is what science tells us, this universe started from an infinitely small point of super ultra energy. Science actually tells us all the energy that would ever be used for all of time, for every single galaxy, every single star system, was all packed into that original universe seedling at the beginning of time. Wow. How did the universe know how much energy it was going to need? Universe was like, all right, come on everybody. Here we go. Party's about to get started. Here we go. Boom. And it's still going. It's still expanding. This current phase of the universe, this expansion, you could think of it like the universe taking a big in-breath. Just inhaling, expanding, one big breath in, lasting for billions of years. We're like 13 billion years in. That's how old the universe is. We're at about 13.7 billion years old. And we're still expanding. That in-breath is still going in. And then eventually, everything is going to sort of, the momentum of all the motion of all the stars and planets is going to kind of calm down and reach its peak, reach its maximum momentum. And then gravity is going to kind of pull everything back together again. So it's like the universe is doing a big in-breath, filling up its lungs, and then a big out-breath, gravity bringing everything back together again. So how exactly it got started, we don't know. Was the Big Bang a result of a previous universe collapsing in on itself? Was this universe like an interdimensional seedling of super energy that was planted like a seed in the soil from another dimension? We don't really know. I have a feeling we were all probably hanging out in the multiverse beyond this universe before this universe even started. And everybody was talking, hey, we're doing this new universe. It's good. It's all the rage, man. Everybody's talking about it. This new universe of light is going to be lit. It's going to be so crazy. All these kind of cosmic adventures and things to do in this universe of light. It's nuts. But be careful, you might get trapped in there for billions of years. It could go on for billions of years. There's going to be these different wars and these different empire control systems. It's going to be the light and the dark. It gets kind of dramatic, gets a little bit crazy, so you might get stuck in there for billions of years. But out there in the multiverse, as our like full spirit selves, probably a few billion years, like 30, 40 billion years, it's probably like a couple of months if you're an eternal being. So we were probably like, okay, let's just go for it. This sounds kind of fun. It seems pretty exciting. let's put a quarter in the arcade machine and let's fire this thing up. Woo! So if you've never heard of a multiverse before, a multiverse is sort of like a big universe filled with universes. How our universe is filled with galaxies, a multiverse is filled with universes. Whoa. So this local universe, all the energy that would ever exist was right there at the Big Bang. We live in a finite universe. It has a beginning, it has an end. That energy is going to get used up someday. Out there in the multiverse, out there it's probably really infinite, where new universes are being sprung up, new existences altogether, new dimensions are being designed out there. I believe that's where we all come from, and we all kind of took a little piece of our spirit and put it into this universe to have ourselves a time. And boy, what a time are we having. So that's this first thing I wanted to talk about, that science explains to us, yeah, this is a crazy thing that we're a part of. We are in the midst of this Big Bang going on for billions of years in this crazy fractal hologram of light existence we call the universe. And then that brings up my next subject I wanted to get into. I wanted to start things off kind of scientific. Let's see how science explains the mystery of existence, to start to wrap our head around this idea of what is reality. So in this term, a fractal hologram of light. Now at first that sounds kind of sci-fi. Fractal hologram of light? That's crazy. But this is sci-fi. This whole thing is some crazy holographic alien technology that we're a part of that's like billions of years old and uses atoms as the programming code, and everything is technically built out of light. This is some crazy, weird alien space adventure. We're like in this crazy cosmic comic book series, just sort of, we're kind of used to it though, so we don't really notice it so much anymore. But it really is kind of eerie and extreme, just like how crazy this whole existence really is. Science kind of figured some things out and then gets this like attitude of like very high and mighty, like, oh yes, we know what all of this is. But it's like, yeah, you're telling me, oh yeah, this all started from some crazy phenomena called the Big Bang, and there's trillions of stars with all this energy and all of these creatures and all of this crazy existence going on. Science is sometimes like blowing my mind, and I'm surprised that scientists are so blasé about how phenomenal all of existence really is. So this term, a fractal hologram of light. Each one of these terms actually has a lot in it. So first, let's start out with a fractal. So what is a fractal? I know we've seen those crazy like zoom patterns, but what is this really telling me? What's so amazing about a fractal? So a fractal is a highly sophisticated way of ordering shapes, ordering forms, ordering energetic exchanges. The idea behind a fractal is that every piece is built out of the same shaped piece packed inside of itself again and again and again. We got smaller pieces inside of smaller pieces, and then those smaller pieces are packed inside of larger pieces that are packed inside of larger pieces. You can think of it like those Russian stacking dolls, where you got the little baby packed inside the mother, packed inside the grandmother, and so on and so on. We can think of it in this universe, how at the smallest scale, we've got atoms, these particles orbiting around, and then the fractal scale going up, we've got solar systems of these different pieces orbiting around. We scale up again in the fractal of existence. We got galaxies. So we go from orbiting atoms, orbiting solar systems, to orbiting galaxies. That's kind of the idea of a fractal. Similar kind of idea going on, but at different scales, and everything is packed inside of one another. Some other terms that come up when we're talking about a fractal is the idea behind macrocosms and microcosms. So macrocosms are basically the big version, and microcosms are the small version. We can think of that orbiting atom as a microcosm, and the solar system being the macrocosm, being the big version, and then the galaxy also being a macrocosm. We've got microcosms and macrocosms all throughout life. You could think of like an ant colony and how all the worker ants are collecting food and they all go into their colony underground and they're all helping one another. You could think of that like a microcosm. Then you could think of a big city of people as a macrocosm. A big city is similar to an ant colony. We've got all these people driving around, doing their work, collecting their food, going about their daily lives, their daily business. So there's similar principles at play in the way that things are moving around and the overall idea of life surviving in the ant colony as there is in the big city. That's the idea of here we've got the microcosm, the ant colony. Here we got the macrocosm, the big city. That's also in this idea of as above, so below. That's this occult term that has sort of risen to the surface over the years that people have heard of from time to time. And that's what it's basically getting at. It's getting at the fractal nature of existence. So what about the hologram of light? Fractal hologram of light. So a hologram of light, this is more of a technicality, because technically at the smallest scale, science has found that everything is technically made out of photons. Photons are little light particles. So we zoom into an atom, we got the electrons, the protons, the neutrons. We zoom into those subparticles, and they're all made up of different arrangements of photons. All the subparticles are made up of different twists and turns of the light. So all of this is made of light. What? Yeah, this is all technically a hologram of light. That's what science would tell us. We can feel it, it's physical, but that's because the light has been so tightly packed together that we can actually feel it and sense it and create the reality around us. So technically, this is a fractal hologram of light. One really cool little thing that I found out about actual physical holograms, you can make these things. There's a special laser-sensitive film that you lay onto a piece of glass. You reflect lasers off of a 3D object. The special holographic film captures all of those reflections and stores it into the holographic film, and it produces a three-dimensional image on that piece of glass. Now here's the crazy thing. If you smash a physical hologram, in each of those little broken pieces is a miniature of the whole picture. That's right. It's not like a normal picture that breaks and you got this piece of the image, you got this piece of the image. Holographic film, behaving like a true-to-life hologram, stores all of the information of the 3D image throughout the entire piece of film. Whoa. So that's also what's going on with our genetic code. Our genetic code behaves holographically. It's able to repair itself because it can infer, oh, this is the piece that's missing. Here's all the messages in my DNA code that I have leading up to this point. So the next step is this. The next step I need is this. So all of that data for the entire genetic code is stored in the rest of the genetic code. It's holographic. This also ties into that idea of the fractal, the idea of microcosms and macrocosms, in the way that everything is kind of these reflections of one another. We can really tangibly see this in things like how a light wave performs similarly to a sound wave. We've got a signal oscillating back and forth that can be perceived. We've got this overall wave pattern all over the place. We've got waves in light waves, in sound waves, in water waves. We've got the waves in sand in the sand dunes, the waves of the mountain ridge in the peaks and the valleys of the hills, the way that the seasons kind of rise and fall. We got the plants springing up during springtime. We got the leaves falling down during the fall. Even the wobble of the planet of the Earth has this very particular wave to it. Even in our dramas, our movies, and our stories that we tell, we have that same wave pattern where we've got the beginning of the story, the build-up, reaching its peak at the climax, and then the story kind of eases out to reach that resolution at the ending. Same idea with physics. We throw something, we put that initial inertia into the object. It expends its energy at its peak, and then the energy starts to decay, and that momentum decays to a rest. That's what we call entropy. So we've got momentum and entropy patterns. We've got birth and death patterns, growth and decay patterns. We've got wave patterns. This universe is waves, man. These are these little hints that the universe has given us saying, hey, notice how these particular patterns are all over the place? There's probably something important about them. This is like nature showing us what life is about. Nature's kind of so ancient and has been evolving consciousness for such a long time. The universe is like, all right, we can't just like program new consciousness. That never works. So we create these little microcosms for consciousness to kind of grow up in and develop in, experience things for ourselves. That's really how like things start to stick and we start to get the picture of like, oh, I do this in life and then this thing happens to me. Now another very important pattern that we see in nature all the way up and all the way down is the golden ratio. Now, you've probably heard of the golden ratio, also sometimes called the Fibonacci sequence. But what's so great about the golden ratio? It's like, okay, it's a spiral. Cool. I didn't really know what was so great about it for a long time either. So here's what's up with the golden ratio. What makes it so special? It's like when you're in a roller coaster and you're going up and over a smooth hill in the track. And when you go up and over, you get lifted up out of your seat. The golden ratio is like you're getting lifted up out of your seat the whole way down. It's a constant energetic slide. That input of energy is falling over the edge and falling over the edge and falling over the edge and falling over the edge, never quite catching itself. That is the golden ratio. It is the best momentum in three-dimensional space. This is how planets are orbiting in solar systems for billions of years. They're at that golden ratio sweet spot where they just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. It's maximizing that energy input. This is why atoms spin the way that they do. It's the most efficient way to spin those electrons. Same with the galaxies. Most efficient way to spin all these solar systems is at that golden ratio sweet spot. This is why we also have whirlpools in streams, is the golden ratio. This is why the snail grows his shell that way. It's the best way to do it. Not saying the snail is lazy. It's just that the snail has better things to do with his time and his energy. So, snail's going to grow his shell in a golden ratio spiral because that's the most efficient way to grow a shell. Why would you grow a shell any other way? So the golden ratio, we see it all over the place in all kinds of microcosms and macrocosms throughout reality because the golden ratio is where it's at. That is the best use of your energy. It's what's keeping the planet spinning for billions of years. It's got that constant parabola arc that just keeps you going. You just keep going downhill. It's constantly downhill, like an energetic slide. So in my own search for spirituality, I found a neat little correlation between the golden ratio and the golden rule. Golden ratio, golden rule, kind of a dead giveaway. Now, I'm not super religious. I have researched religion a great deal. I've researched many multiple texts, many multiple traditions throughout history. I've researched the history behind the changing of hands of different holy books, the retranslations. I've researched religion enough to know that it's actually not that good for you. Buddhism, for instance, is pretty clean. You know, it's been institutionalized as well. It's got a lot of idolatry nowadays. The Buddha wouldn't like that. But mostly Buddhism is cool. The other ones have become pretty rigged, pretty loaded. You got to watch out for them. But they all have their nuggets of truth that have stuck around. And one of them, for sure, is the golden rule. Treat others how you would treat yourself. I'm going to treat myself well, and I'm going to treat others well. You get your good vibes going in yourself. You get your good vibes going outside of yourself. And then that creates a golden ratio in your life with your energy, with your emotions. We can think of the golden ratio dealing with material physics, and we can think of the golden rule as dealing with emotional physics. So we can get that golden ratio spiral going on in our life. When you're having a really good day, you're just skipping along, you're singing a little tune, you're taking a second to smell the flower, you smile at a stranger, you know, they smile back, you're just feeling great. All the little problems, they don't really bother you that much. You can just take care of them like, oh, no big deal, I'm having a great day. You are living the golden ratio spiral that day. But then there's also the opposite of that. When you're kind of on the down and out, you're having bad vibes. You're not getting those good tingles up and down your spine like you had on a golden ratio day. You're getting those bad tingles up and down your spine because you're having an awful day. All the little things just add up and make matters worse. That is the emotional physics of you're going downhill. You got a lot of friction in your life. There's a lot of friction and anxiety in your emotions. People can pick up on it. You don't even have to say anything. Then they start reflecting that same thing back at you. This is emotional physics. Just like we got material physics, we got emotional physics. And there's correlations between the two. In fact, they probably directly inspired one another in the first place. You get good enough at this, and you can take one of those bad days and you can turn it around in yourself. Just in little things. Just like the little things can add up to make a bad day, little things can add up to turn things around. Doesn't even have to be a full-on golden ratio spiral day, but it can get back to neutral. Just feeling kind of okay about things. A little trick I have is when something's really got me down, I kind of think about, what if someone else came up to me expressing to me the same issues that I'm having? I'd be real nice to them about it. You know, even if it was a stupid mistake, it's like, well, learn from it. Don't do it again. Try to do things to help not make that kind of stuff happen anymore. It's like I'm real nice and understanding for other people. But when it comes to me, I can be so brutal and cutthroat and like, you're such a awful person and you can't believe you did that. And that's just not in alignment with the golden rule. You got to be fair to yourself too. You got to treat yourself well too. And not just treating yourself well like going and buying a bunch of crap you don't need, but like going on a little picnic or drawing some little goofy pictures, catching up with a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Volunteer in your local community. They say volunteering is one of the best things to help with depression. Exercise can be really good. You get the body moving, that also gets the emotional energies moving. Taking good care of yourself, Meditation, of course, is also great. Just taking a second to clear your mind. No electronics. No constant rush to do this or that. Just taking a second to just breathe makes a huge difference in your vibration. It's a process, but you keep growing. You keep getting good enough at this. Man, you can just build up good energy. You build up enough reserves to actually reach out and help uplift people. Those people who are having a bad day, who are in a compromised situation. You can actually help turn their energy around and help them get on a better golden ratio spiral of their own. That's when you find all of these good things start flowing in your life. You've got more resources to work with. You can go from just helping your friends and helping people here and there to volunteering to help whole communities, to help whole cities. It just grows and grows and grows, just like that golden ratio spiral. We can live the golden ratio spiral, and you can feel it. Now, I know it's tough, but after a while, you start to see everybody as like a reflection of yourself. We're kind of on the same path together. We're on the same planet. We're going through these same sets of struggles. We're on the same wavelength. Chances are I could have just been you as much as I could have been myself. So you start to get this feeling of like, oh, when I'm helping someone, it's like I'm helping this reflection of myself. And then that really just helps to inspire that flow. And then you get that feedback, that resonance of like, ooh, I feel good. I just helped somebody out. And that feeling just grows and grows and grows. You grow stronger and stronger and stronger. So this is part of what evolution is trying to do on this planet, trying to develop these individuals that can maintain a good balance with their energy and even help to uplift people around us, because we're so good at uplifting ourselves, uplifting our loved ones. We bring that golden ratio spiral to existence. That's what evolution's really trying to figure out. Reality knew it wouldn't be doing us any favors if everything was just perfectly easy, no struggles, nothing ever goes wrong. That doesn't really make you stronger or more resilient. Reality is saying, okay, I'm going to throw at you everything that goes on. This is what it's like in the grander scheme of things. You've got empires of control that try to take you down. You've got predators who will try to hunt you. You've got parasites who will try to sneak their way in to take advantage. These are the things that happen in reality. We see them in the jungle. We see them in the business world. We see it in these ruling class psychopaths who rig these wars and make profit from death and destruction. Man, we really got to band together and outlaw profit from war. That's something I'm really passionate about. Nature is kind of checking on us and seeing, hey, are you up for this? Are you ready to take on everything that reality can throw at you? Or does it get the better of you? We can see on the individual level all the different influences at play, all of our energetic relationships, the ups and downs of our lives going on. That is like the microcosm of evolution on this planet. And then for all of humanity, everything going on in government, how we're starting to see through the corrupt politics, these corrupt corporations, that is evolution on the macrocosm scale. There again, we can see that interplay of the microcosms and the macrocosms in our world. So evolution wants us to succeed, wants us to heal all this. This is developing all of these evolutionary antibodies. That's what nature's doing here. It's like making a recipe on this planet. Get all the ingredients, get all the influences, and let's see if we can develop the cures to all of these different sicknesses. Let's see if we can develop these individuals who can take all this on and maintain that golden ratio spiral in themselves, in the world around them. Nature's not trying to be mean about it. Nature's just being for real with us. This is what goes on in reality. You either make the cut or you go extinct. It's nothing personal. Nature wants us to succeed. But the predators and the parasites, they want to succeed too. They got their own evolutionary line that they're working on. These empire control structures are trying to hijack evolution. They're not really looking to evolve or change their ways. They're looking to kind of keep people quiet, keep the status quo, business as usual, no revolution, everything is fine, return to your regularly scheduled programming. They're not really changing their vibration. So they're trying to keep everybody stuck in this vibration with them, where we're all kind of like easy fish in a barrel. This is like an all-you-can-eat buffet for them. They're not really looking to evolve or change. So that's why these empire control systems are so hell-bent on taking over evolution, hijacking evolutionary phases to feed off of it and to build their structures on top of that. This is a big reason why these ruling class do all these freaky, devilish rituals that they do. They're all about the bad vibes, all about that adrenaline, all about the corruption of purity. They want to corrupt evolution. They want to hijack nature. They want to destroy the world for their own gain, take advantage of all the people for their own gain. That is what they're about. They are predators and parasites. That is what nature is throwing us in the middle of, seeing if we can swim or if we're just not up to it. So that's where we're at in reality right now. It's kind of like this wrestling match between good and evil, between nature and the empire. If we can learn from our history, if we can heal from our history, it gets applied to our genetic memory as a human race, and we are not so easily fooled in the future. If we can accomplish this, we no longer stay stuck at this evolutionary phase. We get our world back. We get our humanity back. This would be the ultimate victory for all of human history. Thank you again so much for tuning in to the Anomaly Podcast. I'm going to wrap this one up with the Buddha's parable of the seed that really encapsulates a lot of what I'm talking about today. We are like a seed planted into the physical earth, down in the shadows of the underworld, surrounded by death and decay. We build up strong roots from the nutrients of the darkness, from the physical matter surrounding us. We grow stronger and more resilient in reflection to all of this. And then we sprout forth from the underworld into the wilderness of the light. And though we may be surrounded by chaos, surrounded by predators and prey, death and destruction, life teaches us that as an individual flower, we may blossom delicately and gracefully amidst the chaos, growing stronger, reaching up into the light. Until next time, this is the Anomaly Podcast, wishing you much love and respect. We got this. Shine your light and listen to your heart.